This is Jonathan Agoff here for Pro Boxing Fans. Delighted to be joined by Michael Hennessy Jr. Michael, thanks very much for coming on. It's been a while. It's been quite a few months since we last caught up. How have you found lockdown?
Well, lockdown. It's been frustrating, of course, but I'm just happy to, I've come through without catching corona at all. None of my family have either, so that's a blessing in itself. And I've just been focusing on me, really. I've been working on new aspects of my game. I've had a lot more spare time on my hands, so I've made a lot of use out of lockdown.
Yeah, restrictions easing a bit. We'll talk about your fight coming up in a bit. Where are you training at the moment? What's your training team, for those that don't know?
So, my dad's actually trained me since I was 11 years old.
Okay.
But I've done bits with Peter Fury, Lee Wilkins, my amateur coach, Owen Murphy over in Ireland, and I do a lot of training at Sevenoaks Boxing Club as well. So a bit all over the place, really. But my dad's my main trainer, and I train with him all the time. But I'll go sparring to all the different gyms and stuff like that. But at the moment, I'm trying to avoid too much contact with different people, obviously with the current situation. So I've got a little little bag in the garage at the back. So I'm just training out there most days now, and hopefully I'll be able to go out sparring soon, maybe 3 or 4 weeks before the fight, limit as much as possible.
Mm. For those that don't know, obviously, four professional fights so far, 3 wins, 1 controversial draw. For those that don't know, talk about your let's talk about your amateur career. Quite a good amateur career, settled into the program quite well. But yeah, what was the amateur career like?
Yeah, I had a good amateur career. I won Ulster titles over in Ireland, quite a few London titles over here. Got to 3 national finals, and got beat on 2 splits, which was very heartbreaking. A couple of them I believed I won, but it is what it is. That's amateur boxing for you. I had some good wins over some notable names in the pros and in the amateurs. So I did a lot of I had a lot of experience in the amateurs, mixing at top level, and did a lot of learning, which will put me in good stead for the pro game.
Obviously, your dad, for people that don't know, is of course Mick Hennessy, esteemed promoter. What was it like, sort of taking you back to your childhood, seeing sort of your dad put on all these big shows with the likes of Carl Froch, Tyson Fury? What are your memories from those times?
I used to love going to the shows when I was younger. I'm such a big boxing fan, like, as well as participating in the sport. So I used to love going to the shows, like going backstage in the dressing rooms with all the fighters who were like, they were like my heroes at the time. Like they were my Superman and Batman and stuff like that. So yeah, it was incredible to sort of be around the like top level fighters my dad was promoting, for sure.
Do you have a standout fight that you remember from growing up on one of your dad's shows?
Yeah, I'd have to say I remember Carl Froch winning the world title against Jean Pascal, and I remember sitting in the front row on Tyson Fury's lap after he made his pro debut. I'd say that's probably the main memory.
How old were you?
7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
Very young. Tyson looked even bigger back then.
Not many people can say that. But yeah, I mean, just touching on sort of your dad's career, he's had a lot of highs, some lows as well. How have you sort of helped him, I guess, through sort of the difficult moments as well, sort of the good times? What was the whole experience like being for you?
Well, for me, obviously my dad's had some serious highs and lows in the sport, but he's never really sort of let that affect me and my sisters. He's always sort of kept it away from us. Like if he was having bad days or whatever, we wouldn't know. But obviously I'm a bit closer to him, and he's let me in on it, like when things are going good and bad. And thank God he's in a great place at the moment. you know, he's got a great little stable of fighters, all of us on Channel 5 as well. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster journey, but it seems to be back on track now after, you know, a couple of years, where, you know, after the Vladimir Klitschko win, you know, Tyson wasn't boxing for a little while and stuff, and he didn't have that many dates, but now he's right back on track, and things are good, thank God.
You mentioned sort of going backstage, seeing all your heroes and things. I'm sure you would have seen some of the work your dad did that we don't get to see as well. How much did that help you sort of understand the game? You know, as you sort of head into the pro game, which I'm guessing is pretty different to the amateurs.
Yeah, it is the professional game. The main difference is it's a business sort of thing at the end of the day, and you know, obviously I've learned a lot from being around my dad in terms of that. Just talking to him as well, not just being around it. Like, with me and my dad are very close, so he's always giving me advice on how to progress and sort of build my profile as well, and you know, making progress in that sort of sense in the pro game, and you know, what I've got to do to stand out. So yeah, I've learned a hell of a lot from, you know, also being around his fighters. He's promoted and managed some great fighters in the past, and I've picked up a lot of good things to take from them, and just through stories that he's told me as well.
As you said, you're back out August 22nd, live on Channel 5, free to air TV. You must be buzzing for that. It's a big card. Shaq and Pitters, Chad Sugden, British title back on. Yeah, how are you feeling?
Sure, I'm absolutely buzzing. I really can't wait to fight. I've been working so hard since my last fight in November. I was gutted when March and April got called off. And yes, but if anything, I think it's like a blessing in disguise, because I feel like I've improved so much, and I'm gonna put on a great show come August 22nd. And you know, Shakan Pitters versus Chad Sugden's a great fight. You know, you got Isaac Chamberlain on the undercard as well, but I'm looking to steal the show. I'm looking to make a statement August 22nd.
What have you been working on that you can sort of let us know, sort of since your last fight?
Just my boxing, really, boxing in general, and you know, like the technical aspects, and of course my fitness, and a big thing, nutrition. I've never really taken my nutrition seriously, but I'm really on it at the moment. I'm less than 2 kilos over my fight weight. I've been doing everything correctly. I feel like this whole lockdown situation has helped me sort of get into the mold of having good habits, you know, where we can't go out and stuff like that. Like every day it's just been looking how to improve my boxing, pretty much, and all aspects of the boxing game. So I've really learned a lot during this period, and I feel like it's going to show.
Any idea on who the opponent could be?
I'm not sure. I know that they're looking for like relatively even fights on these behind closed doors shows, because there's not many slots. So I'm looking for a step up. There's been a few names mentioned. I'm ready to push on now. I believe, like, next year, by the end of the year, I'd like to fight for some sort of title. So I'd like a step up, just sort of prove. Sorry.
Carry on.
No, just to sort of yeah, like I say, make a little bit of a statement and prove that I mean business.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember you telling me before that you were looking at sort of the WBC youth title, sort of in your next coming fights. Is that still the aim after this fight?
So I believe I've got 4 fights before the end of the year, and I've spoke to my dad, and because of the limited sort of number of fights you can have on each card, I'm just going to be doing 4 6-rounders. Then next year, I'm going to start pushing to 8 and 10, and hopefully, like you say, the WBC youth title will be there. Maybe a Southern area, English, who knows, Irish. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see where I'm at, and I'm very confident next year I'll be able to claim one of those.
On this sort of August 22nd card, as I mentioned, Shaq and Pitters and Chad Sugden, British light heavyweight title. You've got Isaac Chamberlain, who obviously recently signed with your dad. As sort of, you know, I guess you're sort of part of the business as well, you know, seeing what your dad's doing. You must be sort of pleased and proud to see, your dad's being like sort of bringing back big time boxing. It's a very good card to be on.
It is. It's an unbelievable card. Like I say, I am very proud. I'm proud son. I feel funny saying that. He's doing really well for himself. Again, he's in a real good place at the moment, and to have achieved what he's achieved in the sport with zero backing, it's very, very impressive. And yeah, I'm a proud son, and God willing, the success continues on both parts, my career and his career. So, like I say, he's my trainer as well. So that's another career I hope he succeeds in.
He'll be watching this, I hope.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, on sort of the stables, as we mentioned, Isaac Chamberlain recently signed, yourself, Hughie Fury, Alex Steele-Magani, Savannah Marshall. Got sort of a lot of good names. Obviously, Savannah had a world title shot penciled in, unfortunately, before this pandemic. Do you sort of look up to sort of the current stable as added motivation to see sort of how well they're doing?
Of course, the old saying is success breeds success. So if I'm around all these great successful fighters, it just it motivates me to push on to sort of, try and get to that level myself. So, yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned before about sparring the likes of Lerrone Richards, Keeman Agarko. Describe to me sort of how those sparring experiences sort of compared.
Yeah, Keevan and Lerrone. I sparred them once each. They're great fighters, and Lerrone especially. He was taking me round and pointing out things I was doing wrong and stuff, and holes in my game, and giving me advice on how I can sort of improve that and avoid being caught out. But yeah, and the spar with Keevan was very tough. Keevan's a great fighter. I knew him from over in Ireland, and I watched him growing up. We were I boxed on a few of the same shows as him, but when I was a bit younger, I'd be on a lot earlier, but I'd still watch him. He's a incredible fighter, great. He's like a mini Mike Tyson. That's the best way I could describe him. He's mixed with a bit of Lomachenko. He's got everything, Keevan, and both him and Lerrone.
No pressure on him.
They're unbelievable. Sorry.
No pressure on him with those comparisons.
No pressure on him. No. He's a great fighter, and no, they're both destined for great things for sure. I can see a world title in both their futures, no doubt. Lerrone's will be, relatively near. I assume he's already British and Commonwealth champion, so I can imagine that'll be on his radar soon, for sure. But sparring those sorts of guys is an incredible experience. You can't buy it. So hopefully get a few more spars with them in the future.
100%. Final one. Obviously, the show is on Channel 5, as we mentioned, not long ago now. What about sort of that exposure as well? Because if you think about it, the public being so starved of the lack of boxing, then I'm sure loads of people are going to be tuning in. Is it still in Coventry? Am I right?
I believe it's Redditch. I think the studio is
Redditch, right?
So not far. Yeah, it's near Birmingham, sort of way.
Yeah,
but you say, Sorry, what were you saying?
There's massive exposure on Channel 5.
Of course. Yeah, no, it's going to be great because, you say, everyone's at home. Not got a lot too much to do, so they'll all be watching their TV, especially on terrestrial TV. And the other thing as well is where there's only 5 fights. I don't know if you watched the BT show the other day, but the fighters got incredible exposure, didn't they? All in-depth interviews and stuff, and all full coverage of their fights. So I'm very blessed to be on. I'm blessed to be on the show.
Great stuff, Michael. Thanks very much for coming on. Finally, plug your socials. How do we follow you?
Instagram and Twitter, M Hennessy Jr, and then on Facebook, just Michael Hennessy Jr.
There you go, Michael Hennessy. Thanks very much for coming on, and we'll catch up hopefully after your fight.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.